Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on April 29th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide. I hate that. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make by. Now, with this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into things, we do have Storm in the background, making sure tech runs as well as possible. And in case you haven't noticed, it's not always an easy job. Okay, I don't know what my video is like, but it seems we're a little bit fuzzy. You'll have to deal with it because Lord knows how to straighten that one out. That said, Storm is also the one that makes sure problem children get removed before they become problem children. Okay, and of course, if you are striving to make a disturbance, okay, even if you've done so in the past, as long as you don't overstep boundaries, they're all listed at the top of the stream, you're welcome to stay put. Otherwise, Storm will remove you, and you'll still be able to listen, but you will not get access to chat. This said, we also have LA Moon in the house. Okay, now LA is another primary moderator, and she helps keep the conversation going at the same time as she's keeping an eye on my health. And rest assured, that can be a challenge in and of itself. But I did manage to get dinner before I came on air today. Now, today we are looking at the advantages of visual foci for your transformation. Now, let's start with the obvious. What transformation are we talking about? Well, are you content with the way your life is right now? If the answer is yes, then by all means stick with it. But what I've found is 99% of people are not content with their life. They'll have something that's working well, maybe a lot of things, but there's 99% of the time, mostly there is something that's just not on track. And rest assured, in my world, this is very much the case. Now, most of you have heard about dream boards, about prayer, about positive thinking, positive affirmations. Okay, so let's get down to the brass tacks of it. The more senses you can involve in your ability to focus on an outcome, the better things are going to work out and the more efficiently they're going to work out. Now, a dream board boils down to a board where you get ideas and you write them on it. And Woo Rider, you are in with the gold. How's it going, Woo? Okay, now start off with the dream board you know about, but let's get on with the reality of it. Okay, when you get up in the morning, and this is covered in the self-help books that I've got out. Okay, the Believe in Your series. Believe in yourself and follow your dreams literally tells you, and this is the easiest physical focus to build. Okay, in the morning, whether you're working or not, the moment you wake up, okay, get up, do what you have to in the washroom, get dressed. That physical appearance will change the way you're looking at your productivity level for the day. Don't take my word for it. If you're not getting dressed first thing in the morning, give it a shot and see what happens. But take notes so you can recognize over a little bit of time. You can see the difference. Now, getting dressed is a visual foci. Okay, Many people have some sort of pendant. Okay, now I've already told you many times, by my definition, I am Christian. I do believe in God. I do believe in Christ. However, I do not wear a cross. Okay, I always found it fascinating that you'd use an item like that to hang on to. But this pendant I'm hanging on to is an eagle. My father used to wear it. I do not like that. But some people have some form of jewelry that they use simply to help them feel more connected. This is why when you get married, most people have a ring to signify it. Okay, it's just another way of saying here is a physical representation of what I'm doing. Okay, now, as I said, the more senses you can involve, the better off you are. The more focused or the more concentrated that energy is going to be. Okay, think about it. Whenever you're aiming at doing something, you take a look at the mess you've got, the situation you're in. Ask yourself, are you happy and does it feel right? Now you'll notice my dresser here no longer has a whole pile of stuff on it. Okay, I spent the day clearing that off and making sure I knew what I was looking at. Okay, but I can tell you from my standpoint, the energy in this room is now feeling a whole lot better. Here we go. Will goes, eagle represents Roman Empire. Maybe you were a general in the Roman Empire or something along those lines. No, in the Roman Empire, I was simply a soldier. Mind you, I remember quite well in the Roman Empire, I became a soldier. I was running with 6 people. But, my squad, the squad I was running with, and I was not the leader. I fought with them for 2 years, back to back, shoulder to shoulder. Became really good friends. Okay. The drawback to it was I got a direct order by my commanding officer to stand guard while the 6 of them abused a young lass. I was told directly, you don't have to participate, but stand outside, make sure nobody disturbs us. I made sure they didn't disturb us, that nobody else disturbed them. I ended up killing my 6 closest friends and then went AWOL, taking the young lass with me. And no, before you jump on any brilliant ideas there, okay, I would not do anything with her for over a decade. Okay, however, I took out a staggering number of Roman soldiers. So from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. Do I remember Rome? Yes. I was a peasant, I was a soldier, I was a senator, and I was a gladiator. Okay. By the way, the great gladiatorial revolt that Spartacus started, I was not Spartacus. And there's a whole long story behind that. But when you start looking at things like this reminds me, and you are right, Woo, I didn't think of it that way, but the eagle does remind me that there is a certain amount of elegance that goes along with responsibility. Now, I've made it my life purpose to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. So what I've done is gone, okay, I'm taking my office and using that as an example. Okay, clearing the clutter out of the way is a way for me to focus on making certain things happen. And the same thing applies. Okay, when you get up in the morning, like I said, you get dressed, you tidy yourself up so you feel like you're going to work. Now, because I live on my own, and this is an excuse, okay, maybe you don't desire to get up and get dressed. Maybe you're working from home and you'd like to just lounge about in your night clothes. Okay, but I will tell you, you get the clothing sorted around and you dress for business, you will start thinking for business. Okay, when you're looking at the way that you present yourself to the rest of the world. Many people see the idea of a brand new car or a real fancy house as a symbol of their prosperity. Okay, now to give you an idea how well this focal point works, okay, a week ago, I started writing the book, Believe in Your Success and Follow Your Dreams. That was a week ago. It is now in the printers. Okay, because what I did was I put it on my desk and I went, I'm building this. And yes, and I don't have it with me right now, so it's got to be over there. I'm staying put. Anyway, I still use the list method, and the list, realistically, this is why I put it on paper, because by giving it that physical form, it helps keep me online, helps me keep me organized. Okay, and one of the things we have to remember is as long as you stay focused, as long as you follow karmic law, you will find the physical foci extremely beneficial. Now, it's kind of funny when we start looking at things like neckline. Okay, I don't know if that's the right word or if it's just supposed to be necklaces. You figure it out. I go back to the 70s. There was a guy that all of his wealth was represented by the fact that he wore a staggering number of gold chains. I'm not going the route of gold chains. Every one of the pendants, both of these, all three of the pendants I've got, have a specific purpose to them. Okay? Everything that you've got in your life does have a purpose. It may not be what other people see. Okay? And here's the thing. I'm not the one to tell you what success is, but I am the one that has finally developed a way for you to ask the right questions, for you to figure out what success is. And the more physical representation you have involving as many senses as possible, the stronger that connection to the physical world, to the world of success is going to be. Okay. Now, the neat part about it, from your standpoint, is ow, that hurt a lot. The nice part about it is when I'm talking about transformation, I'm talking about taking your life from where it is, given that you're not content with it, showing you how to modify that. Okay. Now, I've got a number of things around that I'm going to start moving into position. Like one of the things, like I said, I was going to get this shelf cleared. I am now going to find a small unit to stand on top of it. Probably only 2 shelves. Okay. And when I do that, I will be able to start moving forward in other fashions. This is a question of get everything organized. And the reason for that is as things come into play, not only will you think more clearly, you'll have more energy, you'll be able to act more effectively. And we're not talking about doing this for anybody but you. Now, I will tell you, you start running your life more effectively, you will absolutely have an interesting situation. Okay, you will have a life that transforms, that alters right before your eyes. But you're going to be the one making it happen. And yeah, well, the other thing I've always liked about the eagle is the other representation that it has. Many people see the eagle as an indicator of freedom. Okay. Some people see it freedom, some people see it as power. Mine simply helps keep me connected to my father. Okay. I don't put one animal above the next. Well, that's not true. Birds are definitely above the land-based animals. Well, at least the flying birds. I mean, let's face it, they're above the land-based birds as well. But the neat part is, whatever you see it as, okay, whatever energy you put into that focus is the energy that's going to be played back to you. Okay, and this is why, let's see if I can get it out. This neat little crystal. Okay, I've had this in my pocket probably since I think about grade 10. Okay, this was a healing stone sent to me by a friend of mine from grade 2. Long story behind it. I've always seen it as a healing stone. So it helps connect me to Earth. But this other neat one that I keep in the other pocket is this one here. If I can get it out, that'd be really convenient. There we are. Now, that's moldavite. Came straight off the Czechoslovakian flats. Okay, this one connects me to the universe at large. And then we have this neat little thing that my fiance gave me. This one, which is black onyx. Okay, it helps balance the two. I've always held, as long as they're in my pocket, I will keep my health will stay relatively balanced. Now, the neat part about it is whether this is real or whether it is imagined doesn't really make a lot of difference. The reality of it is that it has had that effect. Net result, I'm still here. Hopefully, and this is one of those things that you got to be aware of with a focus. You put too much power into it, and all of a sudden, too much focus on it, and all of a sudden, if it goes missing, your whole system collapses. Okay, I believe in the stories that it was Samson who believed his long hair gave him his super strength. Okay, and when they cut his hair, he all of a sudden was just a weak mortal in his eyes. Okay, do not let that become the case. A focus is simply to help you draw the energy that you already have and to help it come into balance. Thanks, Operation. I really appreciate that. And by the way, you are in with the silver. Yeah, that moldavite that I picked up. It worked out this way. A friend of a friend of mine picked it up off of the Czechoslovakian flats. Okay, she was the only one that picked it and that touched it. Brought it from Czechoslovakia, handed it to the friend of mine, who subsequently turned it over to me. It's had virtually no contact. Well, it had only 2 people touch it before I got to it. And it's had virtually no contact since. But the more focus you can put into what you're working on, the stronger that gets. Now, here's a neat little thing. This funny little crystal. Okay. I've used this for a long time. It actually sits on my armoire. Okay. Yes, this is a real crystal ball. One that literally has shut down computers. That's why it's not over here. Okay. But again, I use it to help me see what I'm up to. And the neat part about it is I know what kind of energy it's got. The hard part from your end is deciding what's going to work for you. Now, these are things I use. Okay. The fact of the matter is that when you take a look at them, okay, the more energy you put into something, the more belief you put into it, the stronger that connection is going to be, and it will provide you with an added boost to your energy levels. to your ability to concentrate. And I know that sounds weird, so don't take my word for it. Well, there you go, Operation. But yeah, that one I have used for years. As a matter of fact, that specific crystal I used to help sink an artesian well on the other side of the country. Also ended up using it because of the fact that I knew how it worked. I ended up using it to help track down a missing child. And that's a horror story in itself. Okay, but when you've got a focal point, okay, you can absolutely utilize it. Now, the funny thing is, I do have a wand. I picked it up and I ended up turning it over to my son. But you know, I can take this, which is a letter opener, and utilize it for the same purpose. Okay, in other words, I can turn around, and so can you, by the way. You can take the energy that you've got, that you desire that to fit into, and imbue that item with the supporting strength, thereby making it easier. Making it easier for you to stay focused on what you're aiming at. Now, again, this is not a question of you have to believe what I'm telling you, but how many of you, if you think about how many people have you heard of that will take a sport jersey and go, that's my lucky sport shirt, and I'm going to wear it to every game I go to, or I've got a special ring that I wear. Okay, so I mean these are all foci, and I believe that is the right word. It's intended to be the plural for focus. Okay, in other words, an item that helps you center your energy levels and center your desire. Now, the thing you got to remember with any focus, they only work if they are following karmic law. Because if you send it out, if you use it to try and control somebody, I shouldn't say they only work that way, but if you're concentrating on a focus of yours to control somebody else, what you're doing is you're literally giving control of your life to another person. Remember, karmic law number 3, energy out, energy in. If you're aiming at controlling somebody, they now have control over you. Yeah, I do hope that operation's going. I know a person who wears a lucky sports shirt and a lucky ring at the same time. I'm hoping they are from the same team, because that could be an interesting conflict of interest. But yeah, virtually, people have a favorite shirt, a favorite pair of shoes for various events. Some people have what they call a power tie. These are all physical items designed to help the person feel more confident, more in control of their own life. Okay, and this is why I am so adamant about the idea of getting things on track in a way that you can quantifiably identify them. Nobody else has to understand them. Okay, and I will tell you, when I wrote the book, Believe in Your Success, there's a lot of books out there that will tell you how to be successful. But they also tell you what is success. As far as I'm aware, mine is the only one that helps you find out what you see as success. Okay, and that's the key, and that is also the key of the focus. Okay, how are you going to feel more in control of your life instead of being controlled by somebody else's? Okay, and especially when you look at the way the world is right now, if you've got a little more focus on your life, a little bit more control over yours, the odds are you're going to be a lot more productive where it comes to dealing with other people. The difficult part is believing before you see it happen. Okay? And this is why I say don't take my word for it. But there's no saying that people say seeing is believing. The reality is believing is seeing. In other words, whether you believe you can accomplish something or you believe you cannot, in either event, you're likely to prove yourself right. Now, I knew I could get this booklet written. I was not honestly expecting to rack it off in 3 days. Okay, 3 days. Well, it literally was about a week, and it's in the print shop. Now, it's going to take her a few days, but we'll get it out as soon as possible. Now the question that you got to look at is, where are you going from here? Okay, are you going to reclaim power over your life? Are you going to transform your life from whatever it is to what you would like it to be? Okay, not to what you want it to be, because I will tell you, the moment you start going, I want such and such, you're creating an energy of want. Okay, meaning you're likely not going to get it. Or more to the point, you'll get that sense of lack. But a focal point, a focus, gives you something to concentrate on and really streamline the energy. It's kind of like, when you think about it, it's kind of like this neat little tool. Yeah, I've got all kinds of weird tools. Okay, picture sunlight. Now, sunlight comes all over the place. Okay, and we know it's broadband. But this is a focus. This is a magnifying lens. Again, long story behind it. But you put it with the flat side to the sun, and it will focus the sunlight to the point that it creates a high intensity beam of a high intensity light beam capable of starting a fire. Okay, so this is just another term of focus. Same idea with glasses, by the way. They focus the light to theoretically help you see. Problem, they also create a hiccup. But another story for another time. Whatever you're using to focus things, that's going to help you immensely. Now, when I'm writing the self-help books, I'm taking a concept and focusing all of that energy into one concept. Okay, this is why thus far I've covered self-finance, business, and now success. There are more to come. While I'm doing that, that's my fidget tool. But somewhere around here I've got a pen. There it is. While I'm doing that, I still work as a dinosaur. Okay, but the reality of it is this. You have the opportunity right here, right now, to change your life for what you consider the better, to transform your life from the way it is right now to the way you desire it to be. And I will warn you, this is not likely to take place overnight. But when you get a way of focusing things, and yes, a whiteboard, a dream board, is a focus. It helps you get your ideas. Oh, these are the things I'd like to have in life. See, write them on this board. Okay. Now, this is one of those things that comes in really conveniently to help organize things. Question is, when you're looking at focus, what works best for you? The real common one that I see is the dream board. Okay. The one I use is a list. Okay. And I figured out a few other adjustments to it. But the list itself helps me keep focused on all the little goals I've got in mind. Which is why right now, what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 7 books. I've got 34 I'm working on at the same time. But I've got 7 that I'm in the middle of expanding and pushing to get to print. Okay. I just had to figure out which ones first. But now it's a question of laying them out. And I did turn around. I just finished ordering the covers for the books I've been writing for the Ilderbockian Chronicles. And I haven't decided exactly where to put them yet. But they'll be back here somewhere where I can see them while I'm sitting here. Which means that satchel you see hanging on the door is likely going to go the way of the dodo bird. I'll find a place to put it, but it's likely going to be that door that I put the books on. You know, the intriguing part about it is when I do that, I'm able to take the pictures, put them there. As a matter of fact, I'll do that afterwards. Okay, if I put them on that door, then when I'm sitting here doing a live stream, okay, I can see them right there. And it will help keep me focused on getting them finished. I know that's a lot of work, but you didn't get your life where it is, overnight in all likelihood. Question is, from your standpoint, are you ready to change, to transform your life from what it is? Are you ready to go from being a caterpillar to being a butterfly? Okay. It's up to you. I'm just here to open the door and give you the tools. But I will tell you, the best tools in the world are absolutely useless if you don't pick them up. In answer to your question, Operation is asking, Keith, when you write books, do you work on multiple books at once or just concentrate on one book? Okay, well, let me put it this way. I'm working on the Ilderbockian Chronicles, book number 12, Return to Paradise. Okay, Races of the World, 2nd edition, which is the improved version with pictures of the Races of the Worlds that's already been out. Some of you already have it. Races of the Worlds, Volume 2. Okay, then I'm working on, and I've got them listed here. Well, that one I no longer have to do because it's done. I am now working on Believe in Your Organization and Follow Your Dreams. I'm also working on Psycho Clown Killer, a corroboration with a friend of mine, and Beyond the Portal, which is another science fiction, science fantasy book. Okay, not to mention the poetic anthology that I'm pulling together. So, yeah, we can safely say I'm working on more than one. Okay, but then I'm pretty certain I don't know how to work on only one thing at a time anymore. The way I've got it set up right now, because I can focus on that many things, okay, what I'm now finding is by bringing the pictures of them to light, it's going to be that much easier. Now, as soon as I get this one book done, I've got to get it sent off tomorrow. A minor adjustment to my my artist in England. Okay, and then we get that one out as well. As I get these books done, you'll be seeing more and more of the focal point going up behind me so that I can see it. Okay, and then we can go from there. Same applies to you. Now, one of the biggest things I have noticed, okay, and this is why I say start in one spot, usually right wherever you are, and then expand outward from there in order to clear the energy. This will help you focus on continuing to clear the energy, because I'll tell you, as soon as I got my office desk cleared, okay, all of a sudden I could think a whole lot more clearly. I managed to get a lot more things done. And net result, energy levels have climbed. Okay, my focus has come back into balance. My vocal temper has stabilized. Now it's always just bad. I used to jump up and down. Now I'm just annoyed all the time. No, that's not quite the way that works. But what we are looking at is a question of finding something to focus on by clearing a spot on your desk. Okay, now you clear one spot. This doesn't do much. But what it does do is it gives you a reason to clear the rest. And the reason that you will get that, the reason that happens is literally because of one factor. Okay, once the energy starts to move, picture, if you will, pulling the clutter out of a stream. As soon as you remove the blockages, the water moves faster and starts removing its own blockage. Same thing applies where it comes, and the same thing applies where it comes to the energy in your own life. Okay, the more you've got sorted around, the better off you are. And the faster that energy is going to move. Neat part about it is the stress around you, and I kid you not. Again, don't take my word for it. But the moment you start bringing into focus what you're aiming at, like I've got these neat little things here. Now, this is kind of an odd setup, but these I've got up on my desk to focus on different figures I'm working on. And again, focus is simply whatever draws your attention to the outcome you're aiming for. Now, I'm not one to tell you what you should be wearing. Okay, let's face it, I am not what we call a good fashion statement. Okay, I remember one day I was going through a grocery store, and I was dressed a little bit on the dumpy side. And this guy looks at me and he goes, that outfit is terrible. I looked at him and I said, well, it's not like I'm a fashion statement. And I thought I was quick. But the young lass behind me pipes up and she goes, you are so, not a good one, but you are a statement. And the reality is a focus will help you stay focused, get centered on the outcome you desire. Maybe it happens to be something you're wearing. Maybe you've got a bracelet that helps you feel like you're accepted. And an obvious one on that end is many people are given what they call a friendship bracelet. Okay. Sometimes something like that is just a constant reminder that somebody out there cares. Okay. And I'll tell you, that is one of those things that everybody, whether they acknowledge it or not, requires, is somebody saying, yes, I still believe you've got something. Okay, I believe you can pull it off. Now, in my eyes, I've got a number of people that are really supporting me. You guys have done a phenomenal job. Okay, and it is wise. If you haven't done it, this is something I'm in the middle of doing. Okay, if you haven't reached out to them recently, one thing I strongly recommend for 2025, okay, is make contact with the people that made a difference to you. Okay, thank them for it, because that little letter may be just the uplifting point that is required, that they require in order to feel they've accomplished something. Now, I've got a whole list of people I'm going to be sending letters to this year. Most of them probably won't go until Christmas, but they are going to go. The reason I say till Christmas, it's a great time to do things. But thinking about it as they get them written, I'm just going to send them. Okay. But it's simply going to be a question of focusing my intention of taking my entire past and going, okay, here's the good things. Here's the people that have taught me something. And rest assured, even the people that you've had to break away from. And I know a few of you, I know of the situation of a few of you where a decades-long relationship collapsed. There is something positive that came out of that collapse. I encourage you to find it. Okay. Now, whether you actually do anything with it, that's up to you. I'm not here to pass judgment on anybody. Matter of fact, the only person I pass any sort of judgment on is me. Okay. But I will tell you what I'm doing to make my life shift. Okay. And again, I'm still working on a lot of different projects at once. With this in mind, if you've got a topic that you do feel that could be put to paper, I'm working as much as I can, and I'll tell you, it's a staggering list. But the fact I finally cleared one off the deck means I can start getting the other ones out. Now, the way it stands, I'm going to have, because this proved beyond a shadow of a doubt, when I focus my energy properly, I can make absolutely certain it comes together in the right way. So what I'm doing now is listing them off and going, okay, here's the number of pages on each project I'm working on. With that in mind, I've got 60 races. Okay, if I pop 5 a day, I'm looking at a week and a half. I can have Races of the World 2nd edition fully expanded. Okay, then I just have to do the editing side, and that really isn't a complication anymore. But I will tell you, I've spent a lot of money on getting focuses built that I really shouldn't have done. Okay, that I shouldn't have spent the money on. When you make the thing yourself, you will find it so much more powerful. When you imbue the item of yours with your energy, with your focal point, that's when things start to shift. And it really boils down to this. When you've got something, when you've got a physical focus, that you can go, okay, here's my, if I take this and go, yeah, it's a letter opener. By the way, real nasty letter opener, if I screw up, I could actually punch it through my hand. Okay. And no, that's not a magic trick. Okay. It's just a question of it's pointy. I like pointy things. Okay. But I take something like this when my energy gets a little scrambled. Okay. This is so much safer than what's hanging up there on the wall. Right there. Okay. That is a Bowie knife with a 9-inch blade. This doesn't have the edge on it, so it's a lot safer. Okay, but I use this whenever I get stressed. I'll pick this thing up, and it actually helps me settle my nerves. Okay, that's a real twisted outlook when you think of it. Whatever it is that can help you focus. Many people will fiddle. They get a fidget or they'll grab their keys and just play with them. These are physical foci. Okay, they are simply physical things to help draw your attention into a stable pattern. And this is why we have them. Now, am I going to be getting other things? Certainly. But I'm turning this office into my sanctum sanctorum. Meaning, everything in here is going to be designed to remain focused, organized, and relaxed. Okay, in this way, not only am I going to bring my focus up and my energy levels up, but I'm going to push my health through the roof. Okay, in case you hadn't noticed, I run into a lot of problems with it. Okay, I haven't died permanently yet, so I'm good to go. One of the biggest things that I have come to understand is when you're striving to get ahead, any hand up that you can get, anything that can help you reach further. Obvious example as far as that goes. LA's asking Keith, is mindfulness a sort of focus as well? Absolutely it is. All foci are not necessarily physical. But when you take your attention and you go, I'm going to pay attention to the impact of whatever I say on everybody around me. Okay, just keep one thing in mind. Mindfulness is a focus. Remember to put yourself at the top of that list. Okay, you're the one you've got to take care of first, because if you don't take care of you first, you're going to have a heck of a time taking care of other people. Okay, but this is why you look at the idea of karmic law number 3, energy out, energy in. And you know, LA, and this is something that other people should probably note, LA's gone and put a waving hand before her question and after her question. This brings it in a starkly visual fashion that there's a question here. Okay, wouldn't that be nice if everybody did that, because I wouldn't have to try and track it down. Although operation, I will tell you, by writing your question in all caps, it was real easy for me to find it. And LA's just letting us know we're down to 14 minutes here. Okay, now, some of the ideas that you can work with to put a focus in place. If you haven't done so already, get a whiteboard, get a cardstock, whatever, and write your positive goals down. If there's a habit that you've got that goes sideways, it will be beneficial for you to go, let's say, for instance, because I know a few of you are alcoholics. Okay, one real quick factor. A simple tape that simply says, I no longer desire to drink alcohol. You record that for half an hour solid in your own voice. Play that as you're going to sleep. Okay, within 21 days, you will see, you will almost certainly see a marked difference in your craving without that neat little thing called withdrawals. Now, I know some of you have gone through it, you've fought through withdrawal, and I will tell you, that kind of pain, that kind of discomfort is a great way to focus your mind. It's a great way in as much as it works. I never want to go through that again. I can agree with that. Okay, the more you can focus, the better off you are. When I look at these figures that I work with, they are a way to help me focus on writing. This guy, okay, I'm going to touch him up a little, but again, he is one of these figures help me write, because I can sit there and sit them down and go, that's who it is. Okay, anything you can do, any item you can get, whether it's a sheet of paper, maybe it's a book. Okay, I know I've got one client that bought my book, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. That individual told me just the other day, they keep it in their purse and they read it over and over again in order to stay on top of that feeling. You have the same capacity. Okay, and yes, I'm going to keep telling people this. My problem is, realistically, I have problems with technology. So I'm going dinosaur style. I'm going to go the old route. However, this stream, I will keep going. It's still going to remain free. Okay, the magazine Positive Perspectives is going to remain free. It's just a question of getting the tools out. It's up to you to pick the tools up. Now, some of you will look at your clothing attire. Okay, and I'm telling you, especially if you're working from home, decide on an outfit, decide on business attire. Now, in my case, I looked at it, I was looking at upgrading my wardrobe, and I went, it's really not that big of a deal for me. But then I've never been hung up on fashion. You can tell. I mean, let's face it, this is state of the art, high fashion. At least if you don't have any clothing. Okay, but the more focused you can get on one aspect of your life, the better off you're going to be. And this is why I say find something. Maybe it's just a picture of a loved one. Many people will use a picture of a parent or a child and say, I'm focusing on this goal for them. And that's okay. As I mentioned to people, sometimes it's necessary to borrow the faith of another until you find the faith in yourself. And on this particular note, I will absolutely tip my hat to Storm, LA, and my fiance Kira. Okay, if it were not for their direct intervention and support on occasion, and of course, there's a couple of you guys in here. Okay, Joe Stewart, who unfortunately can't come on at night because it's too late for him, has been instrumental. Okay, Operation Shutdown is almost always here, as is Woo Rider. And then, there's lots of people I've had contact from both Rachel and Renee. This kind of input has been phenomenal in helping me stay focused on making things happen. Okay, and this is one of the group of things, if you will, that helps me stay focused on the idea of this is worth doing. Okay, I still think people are completely whacked that they're listening to me at all, but I don't have to understand that. I'm just grateful they are. And like, we are now at 676. Okay, and let's just see here, just on principle. If we go 676 times 60, 676 times 60. Okay, that doesn't work well. I'm pretty certain that battery's shot. But I'm not going to worry about that. The reality of it is, what do we got? Ellie goes, I have a simple figure of a deity, no face or features, which helps me be reminded of my deity and my purpose in life. And again, many times a statue works like a charm. A statue, a figurine, an icon. The trick is not to worship the icon. Okay, if you're going to worship something, knock yourself out. Okay, but it is simply any sort of a figurine is a way of bringing your attention back to the matter at hand. Okay, now I don't actually have a figure I really focus on, although I've got a couple up here that fit. Okay, but from my standpoint, it boils down to this. Whatever works. I'm not the one to tell you what's going to work for you. Okay. But I will tell you that once you discover it, and I will absolutely help you find it. Okay. But a focus is simply something designed to bring your attention back to that quality. Okay. To that project, to that goal. That's what a focus is for. Okay. And this is why, if you got the opportunity, and you all have the opportunity, okay, when you grab something and you go, this is what I'm going to focus on. Now, I focus on my coffee cup on occasion because I drink, well, according to my nutritionist, I drink a perfect amount, about 30 to 40 cups a day. By the way, that's usually a bad idea, but mine is weak. Now, I do encourage you, if you haven't already got a focal point, find one. Okay? It is absolutely imperative. Now, I'm looking at the whole 9 yards we're dealing with going, okay, what are we going to do so that we can all work together? You'll work on your house, I'll work on mine, and it will radiate out to the world at large. But if we don't do something with it, okay, I found out something. Years ago, I designed a very big project. Okay, a huge project. I am going to start detailing it. Okay, and laying pieces know the superstructure. But the dream itself is now online. Okay, it is on track. It's just I had to work at it to recognize what I'd done. Okay, and I am here to encourage you to do the same thing. Now, your goal may be nothing more than get your dishes done. That may be all you've got for a goal. Okay, but I will tell you, once you get it done, you're going to feel a lot better. This is just the reality behind it. And we are down to the 5 minutes. Thanks so much, LA. Glad somebody keeps track of that. With that in mind, and I don't know if should have got this out of the way first. Hello.
Hey, Keith, let's just remind everyone that this Friday you're going to be on Space.radio.
That is very true. I won't be on for Positive Perceptions, but from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific, I will be on Space Radio this week. Okay, so I invite you all to come and join me there. Bring your questions with you, absolutely. Okay, tomorrow what are we looking at? Oh, tomorrow's Friday and Wednesday, so we won't be back until Saturday. What we got Saturday? That is a good question because I don't have that there. I'm just looking at my calendar here, which is, shall we say, a little bit of an interesting mess on occasion.
I've got it here, Keith. It's the educational value of entertainment.
Ah, perfect. Thank you very much for that. So with that said, we will be back again on Saturday. Until then, I hope to see you Friday. But until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes,